If you're struggling with changing your behavior, or you have reoccurring patterns that are going on in your life or in those around you, then you're not alone. Most people struggle with reoccurring patterns for whatever reason, whether they've learned it from their parents, or they've grown up with certain habits, or all sorts of type of things. So we're going to cover that off today. Welcome to the Hero's Journey. My name's Joel Sadler, entrepreneur and internet marketer. I've helped multiple businesses scale over the years. And your co-host today is Mike Harris, entrepreneur and human behavioural specialist, helping hundreds of men and women break through certain areas of their life and literally change their beliefs. So yeah, welcome to the Hero's Journey. Welcome, Mike.
Yo, hey Joe.
How you doing today?
I'm good.
Yeah,
Really good.
nice. So beliefs, mate. I always like to start with the definition, and you're like the king of definitions. And I love that part about you, is that you actually value the technical, explanation of something,
Yeah.
and enjoy that part, because it actually really provides a launch pad. So tell us a little bit about beliefs and kind of, from a, I suppose, technical point of view, how they form, and some of the examples where your clients have faced challenges that you've helped them through it, or any that come to mind. And obviously we can share our stories as we go through as well.
Sure. So a belief, let's look at that then. It's a good question. What is a belief? A belief is something that we have ingrained in us, that we've thought over and over and over, and we've attributed to as truth. So it's become truth, or becomes our reality. And then that there literally then is a lens that we look at through the world and experience the world by.
Ooh.
So something that we've had ingrained in us, either by ourselves, our parents, it could be generational, could be from society, could be from someone we admire. And then we literally adopt it as truth, and we look at the world and experience the world through that particular belief, or that particular lens, like looking through a glass.
Wow.
And so that's probably the best way I'd kind of define it. Let's just look up, see what the dictionary defines it as, because I find this interesting.
Yeah.
Actually, let's have a look.
But that your definition's super powerful, because the part that you say that it kind of defines the way we look at the world. People talk about looking at the world through rose-tinted glasses. It's almost like putting on a set of glasses which are a certain belief, and it taints everything around you.
100%.
Or not taints, or colors everything around you.
Yeah, it's coming through that filter system. So according to Oxford Languages, belief is an acceptance that something exists or is true, especially one without proof. So kind of what we just said.
Right.
So that's the dictionaries. So when you have a belief, and then you have a confirmation bias on that belief, then you are constantly finding evidence to back that belief up. So then we compound and compound and compound and compound that belief.
Right.
And a lot of beliefs that we have, this is the interesting part, are not in our conscious mind, they're in our subconscious. And so this is where it gets tricky.
As in, we don't know what we don't know, as when we're not necessarily sure that we're not consciously aware of the belief, you mean, but it's underneath the water, I suppose, and the subconscious sort of tapping away.
Yeah.
Running
Searching.
Decisions almost.
So our subconscious mind, which most people would have heard of, runs the show. The subconscious stores everything like a supercomputer.
Yeah.
And along with the nervous system, which stores our perceptions, traumas, and things that happen to us. So the subconscious is running the majority of the show. The conscious mind, and you'll hear yourself when you have these conversations with yourself, or you'll hear this voice pop up, and you'll be like, oh yeah, that, or why did I think of that? And you got this conscious aspect where you try to inject your will or intent on something, which is where it's coming from consciously. But most of the time, our beliefs are subconscious. So it's not something that's up in our mind that we're aware of all the time, but it's running the show. And so often then we're making choices subconsciously to make sure we fulfill what our belief is.
Yeah, I remember encountering that actually in terms of finances and what, I would allow myself to earn. And I remember listening to a few, I think back in the day, actually probably CDs as opposed to podcasts, but the guy was talking about a glass ceiling, and we kind of hit this, or I was, as people, in terms of how I valued myself and what I thought I was worth, in terms of annual income, And so
Yeah.
I'd be hitting this sort of glass ceiling, and I had to do quite a bit of work on myself to break through that glass ceiling to the next level. And I then look back and go, well, it was my level of confidence in my ability was one of them, just actually then getting that experience and going, oh, actually, I am valued at that price, or the market sees me at that price, so I'm worth that. So it was a bit of actual sort of external validation, but also internal validation, I think, in that case, for me to kind of break through some of those ceilings. Yeah, quite
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And so if you look at the glass ceiling
Mm.
term or label, it's a good one. And it kind of covers it as one aspect of like, well, I've gotten to here. Why can't I get past? If you've got this desire to get past, and that's exactly it. Like underlying, there's something else telling you, well, no, this is where I feel you're worthy. This is where you need to be right now. And this is safe. And essentially we're constantly looking for safety as well. And so to fulfill those subconscious beliefs, like that, those things we hold dear to us, so dear that we don't even know we've got them some of the time. We're constantly seeking those out because that is safety. That is what you feel is right for you. So until you change beliefs, then you don't change results. You'll always find a way to kind of get back to that status quo, to that place. So if you look at beliefs plus values or priorities, the study of axiology, what we value the most as far as priorities in areas of our lives, all the way from number one down to infinity, that's like, could be, for example, like, if you use a generalization, a guy has business as one of his top values, and then down from there might be finances. And for the woman, it might be the family, and then there's just generalizations, but that's kind of what happens. And so if you then go, okay, business combined with a belief that I am a huge success and I have lots of money, means that you're going to end up being driven in business, and you're going to end up generating lots of money because that's the underlying belief you have. Just the same though, as well, if you have business as a value, as a priority that you love investing your time and energy into, but underneath all of that, deep down in your subconscious, you've got a belief that I'm not worthy of wealth, I'm not worthy of having too much money, then you'll have success potentially in the business, and you're putting your energy into it, and you'll find ways subconsciously to erode your wealth.
Interesting.
And you'll be going, why is it that I put all this time and energy in, but I just seem to lose it, or something seems to happen. I make a bad choice, make a bad deal or something. And that's because until that underlying belief that's needing to be fulfilled gets shifted, then that's where you come back to.
Interesting. Yeah.
So I had someone just recently, for example, that they want to lose some weight, and they've been battling this on and off for a long time, and their relationship to food is comfort, and it's all sorts of different aspects that are going on. And I said, well, okay, what are the current beliefs you have around yourself in regards to food and your weight? And they sat there and they said, okay, I eat unhealthily. Food is my comfort. I don't appreciate and love myself. I love junk food. I don't feel like I'm worth having a great body. I'm not grateful for what I do have. And these were all the beliefs that came out, and we sat and read them a few times. And I said, okay, can you imagine if someone was to come to a trainer or to a gym or someone that was helping in that, and then they said, these are the beliefs I have in myself. How is that person ever going to change their reality if these are the beliefs that they have on themselves?
Yeah.
Because when you believe this is who you are, this is me, this is my identity, then until you shift those out, you are going to do everything to fulfill those beliefs that make up your identity.
100%.
Yeah.
So for people that, I think the conversation we've just had is a super powerful one to, one, explain sort of how the beliefs get formed and where they come from, and some real life examples of actual beliefs that this person had, So what are the steps that someone could take to actually change them or unwind them? Do you have to literally, is it as simple as taking those beliefs out and slotting new ones in? Is it deeper than that? Do you have to reprogram your subconscious? Give us an example about how would someone actually literally adjust or change or tacked away from those beliefs,
Yeah, so I think I don't know if we covered how they come from, but parents are a huge one, right? And their parents and parents, and this stuff, it rains down. Like there's some interesting ones you see that don't make any sense, but it's just something that's always been, so it's something you've always done. And you're like, hang on, that doesn't make sense in this day and age when you see your parents doing stuff, but it's just because they didn't know any different, and then the kids end up picking it up, and then the same
Yeah.
thing just carries on, right? So
Yeah.
money's a
Well,
big money's a big one, food's a big
yeah.
one, weight's a big one. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was sharing with you, recently went to Japan. My wife's Japanese, and just the cultural dynamics around family are completely different to what I was brought up with, in my, I suppose you could say, Western or, area of the world.
Mm.
Um, and I found it quite challenging, actually. Or my wife and I think both of us found it quite challenging because in some ways she sort of slotted back into what she was brought up in over there from a cultural point of view, which is very different to here. And so that was different, different routines, different ways of being. And I was kind of like, wow. And it actually threw me for a number of weeks until I realized what was going on. And I
Mm.
spoke with another friend over there who was also non-Japanese, married a Japanese woman over coffee, and exactly the same experience. That's a classic, real case of cultural
Yeah.
surroundings, conditionings, of ways of doing things. And she
100%.
just slotted back into that, and not right or wrong, it just is. I was kind of like, wow, it's incredible.
Yeah, that's exactly
Mm,
it. And
mm,
that's a very big point you bring up, is that we
mm,
all have these beliefs that we've got, and most of them we don't even know about, right? Because
mm,
we're living them. And so there's so many blind spots, to ways that we think that we don't realize. And you
yeah.
often need someone from the outside to go and look in to pluck those out, because they're blind spots for a reason. That's what
Yeah.
blind spots are, right?
Mm,
So it's useful to have someone else to come in and do that. And you can, like, literally starts, you just go, okay, well, these beliefs are the beliefs I have. Number one, get really real about what they are,
mm,
and
right.
own what they are, and
Mm,
do it without judgment, do it without self-shaming. Because when you
mm,
start to self-shame, then you keep yourself stuck in that particular cycle, because you're making yourself wrong, and whatever you resist persists.
yeah.
And so you're giving it energy by making it wrong, and making yourself like shamed. So one is to identify where you actually are and to accept it without judgment, and just acknowledge and make sense of it.
Mm,
Well, why does this make sense that I'm here?
mm,
Once you make sense of it and accept this is just where I am, and thank you for showing me this, and now I can do something with it. Then you can start to reprogram and identify beliefs that you would like to have. What are some of the things you would like to have?
mm,
One of the other pieces I also do is well, how's this been currently serving you? Like, how's this been, what have been the
mm,
payoffs? Because we don't do anything
yeah.
without a payoff either. And so
Yeah.
when you get to see the other side and go, oh, that's why I've been doing this, and this is how it's been assisting me. Again, you kind of pop the fantasy that it's been all bad and all terrible. You
Mm,
get to see
mm,
both sides of it, and that
mm,
releases you from the hold of it as well.
mm,
And I would then go through, and I use different forms and different techniques to do it. But one of the ones I use a lot is to go into like to access the subconscious, is to kind of go into a trance or hypnosis, and then start to access and put in beliefs that you would like to put in.
mm,
And making sure we clear out any obstacles or blocks that are holding on to the ones that are being held on to. Is it okay and safe to let those go? And what is it we want to install now? And what do we
mm,
want to put in there? And then you can do that quite quickly. And then also through repetition, habitually, and showing up for yourself and staying consistent to putting those new beliefs in, kind of
mm,
like rewiring it's rewiring your neural pathways, or
mm,
setting up a new pathway, like a new track through the bush.
mm,
But at first, when you try and cut that track, it's quite tough. And so the more you do it,
mm.
the more it becomes, again, a habit, and that just becomes the norm.
Yeah.
So you can shift things very quickly in the subconscious once you get past the conscious mind. And then consistency of showing up, and the confirmation bias of that now becoming truth. That's now
Mm.
the new
I've
belief.
seen, in my journey with you, I've seen you probably over the last month, maybe 2 months, really get, I wouldn't say breakthrough, but really get some significant change and growth in that area of believing who you truly
Yeah,
are, what you're here
massively.
for, what you're meant to do. And I've seen, obviously, over the last few years, you working on shifting a lot of previous beliefs, but obviously you've kind of now got to a point where you're on the other side. And I actually see you looking around for proof of actually why you are now who you believe you to be, in a positive way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Quite a powerful shift. So what's sort of started to happen, and for you in that, I mean, it's probably hard to explain. I think we've got about 5 minutes left, but maybe give us a quick summary of that journey over the last couple of months and some of the benefits and interesting pieces you found.
Well, number one, like for anyone that is on a development journey or wants to
Mm,
discover themselves more, I think you've got to have a really strong and clear intent that you've got to be curious, and you've got to have a strong intent to want to go in and understand yourself more, no matter, and to like connect with yourself and to heal and integrate any pieces that need to be healed and integrated. And when I say healed and integrated, I mean pieces from childhood, things that have happened, resentments, shames, guilts. Like I've spent a long time going in and looking at all that stuff. And it's been 16, 17 years of actively kind of studying, human behavior. But particularly in the last few years of going in more from a somatic and meditation standpoint as well, and doing integrations in that form than just working cognitively. And the way that I ended up accessing all that was having a big enough pain, a big enough challenge to send me in to start wanting to get to the bottom of everything. And then as you do that, and meditation's been key for me. So if you're not meditating, I firmly believe meditation's an absolute must in regards to doing the real work. When you really connect with yourself and you go in, you start to understand yourself deeper, and you build a trust with yourself. And with that trust and that depth comes a real sense of self-love and gratitude. And so when you show up in that space, you can then go and embody the fact that you realize that you are a soul having a human experience here. You have your higher self. You're co-creating with the divine, with the universe, and everything in this experience here, in this meat suit, this human body, is there for us to grow and evolve. And when you understand that you're co-creating either consciously or subconsciously with your beliefs, with your values, with all the things that you're seeking out, it's just bringing everything to you based on what you're emitting, your frequency, and what you're putting out. Then you go, wow, this is all for me. This is my gym, my jungle gym for growing and evolving. And when you land there, you're like, okay, I've manifested this for a reason. I'm going to lean into this and I'm going to face this. And even if it's challenging and it's horrible, it changes the way you see all of that. It changes your perspective, and you get to see it in a completely different light, and that you can embrace it and know that it's coming from a place of self-love ultimately. It changes the paradigm.
Interesting. Yeah. So I'm hearing that one of the key things is awareness. As we sort of started the discussion at the beginning, was that there are beliefs that often drive, a pair of glasses that color, for want of a better word, our experience around the world. And often we're not even aware that they're doing it, but then an event or a significant event or pain or whatever will often cause people to question, why am I here? What's going on? Why is this cycle that I see playing out over and over again?
Yes.
And then you can do some inner work, you start changing your beliefs, being real about it. But then what's interesting I hear for you is when you've come out the other side, you've also now got a really strong awareness of what's going on most of the time in your life, and you can recognize triggers or stuff, or you can actually go, I want to choose to be this way, or this is where I'm going and I'm aware of it, and this is what I'm creating, my future to be.
And you kind of become, you're observing the observer. Like you understand there's something else that's observing you observing, and you get to zoom out, so to speak, and just have more clarity and not get so caught up in the actual things that happen. It doesn't mean that I don't get triggered sometimes. It's just that my bandwidth for what I can handle and the triggering has expanded greatly. And so the more that we go inward, then the more we can handle out in this physical reality that we call Earth, the world.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
it's been fascinating. And I, honestly, for who I am here now and the gratitude I have for myself, I never thought I'd get here. Like I didn't know I was going to get here. And I look back at the old version of me that was going through the pain and the challenge and the stuff at the time that I've gone through. And I'm like, I'm so grateful for you that you showed up for yourself and that you decided to look in and get out of your comfort zone and start facing the areas that you weren't willing to face. And one of them was getting out of my head and getting into my feeling body as well, and to slow things down, to meditate. I was so in my head, for example, I didn't want to sit still, or like to meditate was like, oh God, that's too much. That's just boring, or it's this or it's that. And now I liken it to like having a shower. Must do it. I want to do it because it's me having the time with me. It's my time and connecting with my higher self and the divine, which is ultimately where we do the real work, is when you're in those places.
Interesting. Awesome, mate. Thanks today for being so open and honest. And yeah, it's a very real experience. So I
Yeah,
just
it's cool
remind,
it's cool you've gotten to see this transition too, right? Like that you've been
yeah,
along the journey with me and seeing it all. And just on that too, I'm so grateful for you, our relationship we've had over the 16, 17 years, whatever it's been now. And just I look at the different places we've gone and come from and how we've transitioned and where everything's going. And it's nice to be able to honor all the different parts of the jigsaw puzzle that make up our experience, where we've attracted certain people and certain situations because they're aligned and they're there for a reason. When you understand that too, it's like, wow, you can have some real gratitude, even for people that you feel like you've had arguments with or have been a pain in the ass or whatever. They've been there as your mirror to help show you and teach you and for you to play out your stuff with. And so like you just get a deep sense of gratitude for all aspects.
Oh yeah, goosebump moment.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for sharing. Appreciate
No
it.
worries.